Okay, welcome back, guys. Um, in the previous video, we looked at the default containers of Active Directory, and in this video, we are going to look at the objects in Active Directory. And the very first object that we are going to be looking at is the organizational unit, sometimes referred to as OU. So let's go to Tools, Active Directory Users and Computers, and then for starters, let us right click on our domain controller or our domain name. So when we come down, we have new, then we have organizational unit. So what is an organizational unit? So the organizational unit is an Active Directory container in which you can place users, groups, computers, and other organizational units. An organizational unit cannot contain objects from other domains. So we use the organizational unit to manage the other objects in the Active Directory. We use the organizational unit to organize the other objects in the Active Directory, and most of the time you will actually use Active Directory to represent the hierarchical or logical structure within your organization. Some organizations are made up of various departments, so you might want to represent the various departments using an organizational unit. In this case, it makes the management of your network very easy, because if you want to apply a policy or a rule to a group of people in a particular department, you can have them in one organizational unit, and then this makes administration very easy. So I'm going to teach you how to create an organizational unit and how to delete an organizational unit. But before I do, this is what we are going to be building. We are going to have a structure like this. So we have our domain name here, louis.com. Then we are going to create one parent organizational unit called MIS. Now within this MIS, we are going to have child organizational units, which is going to be a subset of the parent, and these are going to be the users and then the computers. Now this is going to be based on your discretion as an administrator. Based on the organizational structure of your organization, you can build something different from this, but then for the lessons, this is what I'm going to be using. So we also have HR, and then we will have sales. So I'm going to show you how to create an organizational unit. All you do is you right click based on where you want to create the organizational unit. So for this instance, I want to be creating the organizational unit under the root domain, which is louis.com. So then I will right click on the domain name louis.com and then go to new and then select organizational unit. Now I'm supposed to specify the name of the organizational unit, but you notice that there is something here and it is checked. It says protect container from accidental deletion. Now this is to make sure that you can't just right click on a domain controller and an organizational unit and then delete it. So I'm going to create MIS, and then I'm going to say okay. Now it has been created. So okay, I don't like MIS. Technically, you wouldn't really have a need to delete an organizational unit, because if you don't like it, probably because of a typographical error, you can just rename it. But if you really want to delete the organizational unit, when I click on delete, it says, are you sure you want to delete the organizational unit? I say yes. And then it says you do not have sufficient privileges. But when I come here to check, I am the administrator. I'll be okay, I am the administrator, but still I cannot delete. That was because of the checked box when we're creating the organizational unit. Okay, fine. If that is the case, then let me uncheck it. So I right click and go to the properties. But when I come here, there is no box to be unchecked. When I come here, there's no box to be unchecked. Same thing here. Now this is because Microsoft has made it possible so that people don't just end up deleting your files. So if you want to actually delete it, then you have to come to view and then go to advanced features, and then now that advanced features has been enabled, when I right click this and go to properties, You notice that initially there were only 3 tabs, but now I have about 6 tabs. So when I come to objects, now I have the option to uncheck it and then apply and say OK. And when I right click this and then I delete, yes, it's gone. Are we okay? So basically that is how you delete an organizational unit. So I'm going to go back and then I'm going to go back and then I'm going to uncheck this and I'm going to recreate the organizational unit, new organizational unit, call it MIS, and then say OK. Now if I want to create the child OUs, then I'm not going to go back to the louise.com. I will now come back here, right click on the MIS, go to new and then select organizational unit and call it users and then say OK. Then repeat it again, new organizational unit and then say computers. So I'm done creating that, so I'm going to quickly create for the HR and then for the sales. So the HR is a root or a parent OU, so I have to do it from the domain name. So organizational unit, call it HR. Okay, and then do the child OUs, new organizational unit, call it users. Users, okay, and then new organizational unit and call it computers. Okay, and then again new organizational unit and then call it cancel from the domain level, sorry. So new organizational unit, call it sales. Okay, and then underneath it new organizational unit computers, then again new organizational unit and then call it users. Okay, so basically this is how you create organizational units using the graphical user interface. The other way is you can use the Windows PowerShell, but I've not yet treated PowerShell, so we are going to leave it as it is. When we treat PowerShell, I'll walk you through how to create the objects with the PowerShell. So thank you for watching this video. In the next video, we'll look at how to create user accounts.